The Kthar were not accustomed to failure. Efficiency and logic governed their reptilian society. Emotional displays considered either weakness or deception. Their moon base, once a thriving outpost, now struggled with dwindling resources and failing systems. Commander Forlag stood rigidly before the observation window, his scaled hands clasped tightly behind his back as he surveyed the barren lunar landscape. The cloaking field generator will fail completely within 14 solar cycles, he stated, his voice devoid of inflection despite the severity of the news. The Gorgon patrols have increased by 27% in this sector. Young specialist Xyler shifted uncomfortably, his tail twitching slightly, a micro-expression of anxiety that Forlag pretended not to notice. The energy signature from the Terran outpost remains anomalous, Commander. Our analysis confirms it matches frequencies similar to our cloaking technology. And you're certain the human operates alone? Forlag turned, yellow eyes narrowing. Affirmative. Jake Riley, xenobotanist, stationed at Research Outpost Gamma, 9 for the past 3 lunar cycles. The nearest human installation is 15 units distant. Xyler consulted his datapad. Personnel records indicate unusual behavioral patterns. Multiple citations for excessive enthusiasm regarding potential alien contact. Disciplinary notes about inappropriate levity during security briefings. Recreational preferences include immersive simulation activities called escape rooms and role-playing games. Irrelevant. Forlag dismissed with a wave of his clawed hand. What matters is the energy signature. Either the human possesses advanced Terran technology that could repair our generator, or his voice lowered. He is a Gorgon spy. The probability of a Gorgon operative using a human disguise. Calculate probabilities after we extract information. Forlag interrupted. Prepare an acquisition team. You will lead the interrogation specialist. Xyler's neck frill fluttered in surprise. Commander? I lack experience in information extraction. Precisely. Our previous methods have proven inefficient with Terrans. Their psychology differs significantly from our own. Perhaps a less intimidating interrogator will yield results more quickly. Time is the one resource we cannot replicate. What extraction methods are authorized? Standard sensory manipulation, logic pressure, isolation. Forlag turned back to the viewport. We need results, specialist. The survival of this base depends on it. Xyler straightened, duty overcoming his discomfort. It will be done. Far below, on the dusty planetoid that Kthar's sensors monitored ceaselessly, Jake Riley was having the time of his life. The small biodome of Outpost Gamma, 9 bustled with activity, all of it generated by Jake himself as he danced between the rows of experimental bioluminescent algae, recording observations while humming off-key. Growth rate increased by 17%, he announced to the empty room, his voice echoing slightly in the dome. The electromagnetic resonance appears to enhance photosynthesis in low-light conditions. Somebody's getting a paper published. He spun around dramatically, pointing finger guns at the nearest monitoring camera. That's me. I'm somebody. Jake's enthusiasm wasn't diminished by solitude. If anything, being the only human within 100,000 miles seemed to amplify his naturally exuberant personality. His colleagues had recommended him for the isolated posting after the 3rd time he'd turned routine laboratory work in what he called Science Adventure Hour, complete with narration and sound effects. The isolation suit communicator on his workbench chimed. Incoming transmission, the automated voice announced. Jake rushed over, nearly knocking over a tray of samples. Please be orbital command with news about my escape room application, he muttered, activating the receiver. Instead, the screen displayed a text-only message. Supply drop scheduled. 0600 tomorrow. Special package included. Jake pumped his fist in the air. Yes, the immersive simulation module. He'd been petitioning for recreational equipment for months. His colleagues back at Central Command had promised to arrange something special eventually. Outside the biodome, unseen by Jake's monitoring equipment, Three Kthar soldiers activated personal cloaking devices and approached the habitat's airlock. Their mission: acquire the human quietly and return him to the moon base for interrogation. Their intelligence indicated humans required atmosphere suits for survival in the local conditions, which would simplify extraction. The Kthar weren't prepared for Jake Riley. When the airlock cycled open unexpectedly, Jake was in the midst of taking measurements from his prized algae tanks. He turned, expecting the automated delivery drone he'd been told about. Instead, three reptilian figures, in sleek, metallic armor, stood in his doorway, weapons drawn. Jake's eyes widened. Then his face split into the widest grin any Kthar had ever witnessed. "Oh, my God," he shouted, causing the lead soldier to flinch. "You guys are amazing. The costume design." He approached rapidly, hands outstretched. The texturing on those scales. The articulated mandibles. This is next-level production quality. The Kthar soldiers exchanged confused glances. The lead soldier raised his weapon. "Human Jake Riley, you will accompany us immediately. Voice modulation too? Incredible." Jake circled them, examining their armor. "Who arranged this? Was it Dr. Stevenson? I bet it was Stevenson. He said my birthday surprise would blow my mind." He made explosion gestures around his head. The soldiers, trained for resistance, hostility, or terror, had no protocol for enthusiastic cooperation. The lead soldier attempted to regain control. "You are being detained for interrogation. Resistance is—" Of course. Jake nodded eagerly. "I'm being abducted for experiments, got it." He made air quotes with his fingers. "Just let me grab my tablet to record this." The guys back at command will flip when they see this simulation quality. "No recording devices," the soldier stated firmly. Jake winked. "Right, breaking immersion. I respect the craft." He gestured toward the door. "Lead the way, my alien overlords." The lead soldier sent an urgent communication to Xyler. Subject acquired but displaying aberrant behavior, possibly employing psychological countermeasures. Aboard the stealth shuttle returning to the moon base, Jake couldn't contain his excitement. He peppered the silent Kthar with questions about their costumes and repeatedly complimented the set design of the shuttle interior. "The attention to detail is ridiculous," he marveled, running his hand along the control panel. "These buttons actually do things. Are we really going to orbit? Is this whole thing a zero-G simulation? Because I've been requesting spacewalk training for months." The Kthar pilot, maintaining strict communication discipline, focused on the flight controls while the security team watched their peculiar prisoner with increasing unease. "This is a surprisingly comfortable seat for an alien abduction," Jake continued, bouncing slightly on the padded bench. "Though I guess some mild restraints would add to the authenticity." He held out his wrists expectantly. The lead guard, following protocol despite his confusion, secured Jake's hands with magnetic restraints. "Perfect," Jake beamed. "Very take me to your leader vibe." As the shuttle docked with the Kthar moon base, Xyler waited nervously at the airlock. Commander Forlag observed from the command center, watching video feeds with narrow-eyed intensity. The human strode into the base as if entering an amusement park, eyes wide with wonder at the sterile metal corridors and efficient, angular design of Kthar architecture. "The production value is insane," Jake whispered loudly. "How did you guys build all this? Is this a permanent installation? Do you run different scenarios for different staff members?" Xyler stepped forward, attempting to project authority despite his discomfort. "I am Specialist Xyler. You will answer my questions truthfully." Jake's smile grew even wider. "Ooh, the interrogation scenario. Classic." He straightened his posture and adopted a serious expression. "I'll never talk, space lizard." Then he immediately broke character and laughed. Sorry. I'll play along properly." Xyler led the still chattering human to the interrogation chamber, a sparse room with a single chair facing blank walls that could serve as projection surfaces. Various sensory devices were mounted at strategic positions, all designed to disorient and distress. Jake whistled appreciatively. "Serious escape room vibes. What's the difficulty rating on this one?" "Sit," Xyler commanded, indicating the chair. Jake complied eagerly, settling into the chair as the restraints automatically engage around his wrists and ankles. Whoa, automatic restraints? That's some high-end hardware. Xyler began the standard interrogation protocol. The lights dimmed, then began pulsing at irregular intervals designed to disrupt human concentration. A subsonic emitter activated, producing frequencies known to cause discomfort in humans. Jake's face lit up. Special effects activated. The light show is very atmospheric. He tilted his head. There's a weird humming. Is that supposed to be the spaceship engines? Nice touch. Xyler stared in confusion. According to their research, humans should be experiencing at least mild distress by now. He increased the intensity of both the lights and sound. Jake squinted slightly. Getting a bit bright there, but I appreciate the commitment to the ambience. We know about the energy signature from your outpost, Xyler stated flatly. Explain its purpose. Jake frowned thoughtfully. Energy signature. Energy signature. Is that part of the puzzle? He looked around the room as if searching for clues. Is this one of those things where I need to find a hidden panel or something? This is not a game, Xyler insisted, his tail flicking with frustration. The anomalous energy readings from your facility. What is their source? Oh, you mean a clue from outside the room? Jake nodded sagely. That's advanced design, incorporating pre-game elements into the scenario. He scrunched his face in concentration. Energy readings from my outpost. His eyes suddenly widened. Wait, is this about my algae project? That's a clever puzzle hook. Xyler tapped commands into his control pad, bringing up a holographic display of energy wavelength patterns. These patterns match Cthar cloaking technology. Explain. Jake leaned forward, genuinely interested. Those look like the electromagnetic resonance patterns from my bioluminescent algae experiment. He strained against his restraints in excitement. Can I get a hint? Am I supposed to recognize something specific in that pattern? Xyler's frustration mounted. He initiated the next phase of interrogation, a targeted light beam directed at Jake's eyes, bright enough to cause pain. Jake squinted and turned his head. Oof, that's intense. Maybe dial back the brightness a bit? I mean, I appreciate the immersion, but I'd like to avoid a migraine. In the command center, Forlag watched with increasing concern. The human shows no fear, no normal stress responses. Could he be trained in counterinterrogation techniques? His aide suggested. Possibly. Or, Forlag's eyes narrowed. This may be a more sophisticated form of intelligence gathering than we anticipated. He maintains this facade while observing our methods and technology. Back in the interrogation chamber, Xyler adjusted his approach. Your facility's energy signature has compromised our security. If you cooperate, your detention will be brief. If not, he activated a display showing a Gorgon patrol ship. There are worse fates than Cthar interrogation. Jake studied the display with interest. Oh, so there's a storyline involving multiple alien species? That's incredible production design. He looked directly at Xyler. So you guys are what did you call yourselves? Cthar? And those are the bad aliens? He pointed at the Gorgon ship. The Gorgon Empire would extract information through methods you would find. Terminal, Xyler stated coldly. Wow, really leaning into the good cop, bad cop trope across species lines. That's creative. Jake nodded appreciatively. So what's my objective here? Am I supposed to help you guys fight the evil empire or something? Because if so, you could just ask instead of the whole prisoner setup. Xyler stepped away, signaling to cut the sensory devices. This approach was clearly ineffective. He needed to consult with Forlag. In the corridor outside, Xyler met his commander. The human resists all standard protocols, he reported. He seems to interpret everything as entertainment. Forlag's expression darkened. Increase intensity. Use pain stimuli if necessary. Commander, I'm not certain. Our survival is at stake, specialist. The generator fails further each cycle. Without repairs, we face detection and destruction by the Gorgons. Xyler returned to find Jake attempting to rock his chair back and forth. Just checking if there are any hidden switches I can reach, the human explained cheerfully. There's always some kind of physical puzzle element in these games. This is not a game, Xyler repeated, with new emphasis. You will now experience discomfort until you provide usable information. The restraints tightened perceptibly, pinching Jake's skin. Simultaneously, a low-energy field activated, creating an intense, tingling sensation throughout his body. Jake winced. Ow, wow, that's actually uncomfortable. He shifted in his seat. The haptic feedback in this setup is intense. Is this one of those extreme experience scenarios? Because there should really be a safe word or something. Explain the energy signature, Zyler demanded again, increasing the field's strength slightly. Okay. Jake squirmed. My algae project generates electromagnetic fields as a byproduct of their enhanced photosynthesis process. I've been experimenting with different resonance frequencies to maximize growth in low-light conditions. He looked hopefully at Zyler. Is that what you wanted? Did I solve that part of the puzzle? Zyler stared, processing this information. It sounded plausible, perhaps even truthful, but delivered as if it were part of an elaborate fiction. He reduced the discomfort field slightly. Why would botanical research create energy patterns identical to advanced cloaking technology? Jake's face lit up with genuine interest. That's fascinating. Similar. Patterns? Maybe it's because the algae evolved on a moon with heavy electromagnetic interference from a gas giant it orbits. They developed cellular structures that manipulate EM fields for photosynthesis. He paused. Wait, is cloaking technology real in this scenario? Am I supposed to be helping develop it or counter it or something? In the command center, Forlag watched the exchange with growing confusion. Access all available data on Terran Entertainment forums, he ordered an analyst. Focus on these games and simulations the human keeps referencing. Minutes later, the analyst reported, Terrans engage in elaborate recreational activities involving problem-solving, role assumption, and pretend scenarios. Many involve simulated danger or challenges within controlled environments. The human Jake Riley has extensive participation records in these activities. He believes this is such a simulation? Forlag asked incredulously. Possibly. The psychological profile suggests he has an unusual enthusiasm for extraterrestrial contact scenarios. He may have contextualized this experience within his understanding framework. Forlag contemplated this information. Does he truly not understand he's been abducted by a non-Terran species? Data insufficient, the analyst admitted. His behavior does not match expected patterns for either genuine ignorance or deliberate deception. Inside the interrogation room, Jake was now enthusiastically describing his algae research, having decided this must be part of the game's narrative. The really interesting part is how the resonance affects growth patterns. I've achieved a 17% increase in biomass development by tuning to specific frequencies. Could that somehow be interfering with your systems? Zyler, increasingly uncertain of how to proceed, decided to test a different approach. Your research is potentially causing our cloaking field generator to malfunction. This puts our entire base at risk of detection by Gorgon forces. Oh, Jake nodded vigorously. Now I understand the story premise. My research is accidentally causing problems for your hidden base. He looked around excitedly. So this is one of those solve the technical crisis scenarios. Why didn't you just say so? Instead of, he rattled his restraints, the whole prisoner bit. Zyler, at a loss, reported back to Forlag. The human appears willing to assist, but continuously frames everything within this game context. Forlag made a decision. Show him the actual problem. If he has relevant knowledge, his perspective may be irrelevant. When Zyler returned, he carried a portable display. This is our failing cloaking field generator. These are the energy fluctuations causing the malfunction. He displayed complex diagnostic data. These are the Gorgon patrol patterns approaching our sector. Jake leaned forward, his expression suddenly focused and serious. His eyes darted across the technical data, processing it with unexpected speed. Then, his face broke into a broad smile. Oh, I get it now, he exclaimed. This is a repair puzzle combined with a tower defense scenario. Why didn't you say so from the beginning? Zyler's tail twitched in confusion. What? The objective? Jake said excitedly. I need to fix your cloaking device before the enemy ships arrive. Classic timed challenge. He studied the technical readouts more carefully. Actually, I think I see the problem. Your field generator is experiencing harmonic disruption at a frequency that, yes, that's exactly the resonance my algae produces. To Zyler's astonishment, Jake began describing, in precise detail, the interference pattern and potential solutions to stabilize the generator. He spoke rapidly, enthusiastically, as if explaining a hobby project rather than addressing a life-or-death situation. The oscillation pattern here, Jake pointed to a waveform, is almost identical to what I've observed in my third-generation algae samples. The resonance creates a cascade effect in similar frequency systems. I bet if you adjust your field harmonics by about 0.03 degrees in the opposite phase, it would neutralize the interference. Zyler stared. The human was suggesting a solution that, while unorthodox, showed genuine understanding of the technical principles involved. How do you possess this knowledge? Your file indicates botanical specialization, not engineering expertise. Jake laughed. Oh, engineering is just a hobby. I build custom escape room puzzles in my spare time. Lots of electronic locks and hidden mechanisms. Besides, plant biology is all about managing energy transfers when you get down to it. He grinned expectantly. So, do I get to try fixing it? Is that the win condition for this scenario? Zyler left the room abruptly, finding Forelag already approaching in the corridor. The human solution has merit, Forelag admitted, having overheard everything. Our engineers are reviewing it. Now, Commander, I don't understand. He provides advanced technical insights, yet insists this is all a recreational activity. Forlag's expression was unreadable. Does it matter? If his knowledge saves our base, his understanding of the situation is irrelevant. But the interrogation was ineffective because we fundamentally misunderstood human psychology, Forlag concluded. At least this human psychology. They returned to the interrogation room together. Jake brightened at seeing a new character enter his game scenario. Hey, you must be the boss level, he said cheerfully to Forlag. Love the more elaborate costume design. The extra head frills really sell the authority figure vibe. Forlag regarded the human with what might have been, on Icthar, the closest approximation to bewilderment. Jake Riley. Commander Forlag. I must acknowledge a significant miscalculation based on faulty premises and inefficient resource allocation. Jake looked confused for a moment, then his face cleared. Oh, this is the part where you admit you were wrong to suspect me, and now need my help? Classic narrative twist. Your facility's energy emissions precisely match our cloaking technology frequencies. We concluded you possessed either valuable technology or were monitoring our base. Both represented security threats. So you really are aliens? Jake exclaimed, then immediately added, I mean, within the scenario, of course. The attention to world building is impressive. Forlag exchanged glances with Zyler. Release his restraints, he ordered. As the restraints retracted, Jake rubbed his wrists and stood, looking around expectantly. So what's next? Do I get to see the engine room? Fix the cloaking device? Battle the Gorgons? Our engineers believe your proposed solution may stabilize the cloaking field, Forlag stated. If you're willing to assist, we would value your input. Absolutely. Jake bounced on his heels. This is way better than the standard escape room format. The production value alone is worth it. As they led Jake through the corridors of the actual alien moon base, he continued to marvel at what he believed was an elaborate simulation. Thar personnel stared as the human passed, pointing out architectural features and occasionally asking if certain doors led to bonus levels or hidden collectibles. In the engineering section, Jake was introduced to the chief technical specialist, who regarded the enthusiastic human with typical Cthar reserve. This is your cloaking field generator? Jake asked, approaching a massive cylindrical device emitting a soft hum. The detail is incredible. Are those actual plasma conduits? The light diffraction effect is perfect. The engineering chief looked to Forlag, who nodded slightly. Yes, the field harmonic stabilizers are failing due to external interference. Jake immediately launched into a detailed technical analysis, combining his knowledge of electromagnetic resonance from his algae research with surprisingly insightful engineering concepts. As he worked, he continued to frame everything as part of an elaborate game, asking about achievement unlocks and whether fixing the generator would unlock the next story chapter. The Kthar engineers, initially skeptical, found themselves reluctantly impressed by the human's unorthodox approach. His suggestions, while couched in peculiar terminology and delivered with unnecessary enthusiasm, showed genuine insight. If we realign these emitter nodes and adjust the phase variance, Jake explained, pointing to a complex control panel, we should be able to create a nullification wave that cancels out the interference from my algae's resonance frequency. Implementing such changes would require recalibration of the entire field matrix, the chief engineer objected. Not if you use a cascading harmonization sequence, Jake countered. I've used something similar to synchronize the growth cycles in my third-generation samples. The chief engineer looked to Forlag, who gave a curt nod. Proceed. For the next several hours, Jake worked alongside the Kthar engineers, oblivious to the fact that he was genuinely helping an alien species avoid detection and destruction. He approached each technical challenge as an elaborate puzzle, delighting in solving problems and occasionally asking when the next story beat would occur. Meanwhile, Forlag and Xyler observed from a monitoring station. His solutions are effective, Forlag admitted, watching as the cloaking field stability metrics gradually improved. Despite his aberrant behavior, do you think he truly believes this is a simulation? Xyler asked. The evidence suggests so. His personnel file indicates previous incidents where he treated routine situations as adventures. He appears to process reality through this framework. Should we tell him the truth? Xyler suggested hesitantly. Forlag considered. This? To what end? His cooperation is already secured. Knowledge of the actual situation might reduce his effectiveness or create diplomatic complications. In the engineering bay, Jake had successfully implemented his modifications. The cloaking field generator's output stabilized, its interference pattern no longer affected by the algae's resonance frequency. We did it, Jake exclaimed, high-fiving a bewildered Kthar technician. Level complete. So when do the Gorgon ships arrive? Is there a battle sequence coming up? The chief engineer looked uncomfortable. The Gorgon patrol has altered course. They will not detect our position. On no space battle, Jake looked momentarily disappointed. Well, I guess that makes sense for the narrative. Solving the technical problem prevents the combat scenario. Very cause and effect storytelling. Forlag approached, standing rigidly before Jake. Your assistance has been efficient. The cloaking field is now operating at 94% capacity, sufficient to maintain our security. Happy to help. This has been the most immersive experience ever, Jake gushed. The only thing is, there's no real conclusion, no victory screen or anything. Forlag and Xyler exchanged glances. As compensation for your inconvenience, Forlag stated carefully, we can offer transportation back to your facility along with certain research data that may advance your algae projects. Jake's eyes widened. Swag. Real-world rewards. That's next-level game design. As the Kthar prepared a shuttle to return Jake to his outpost, he continued to believe he had participated in an elaborate simulation. The Kthar, for their part, had given up trying to convince him otherwise, finding it simpler to operate within his peculiar worldview. Xyler accompanied Jake to the shuttle bay. Your interpretation of events has been educational, the young specialist admitted. The whole alien abduction angle was a great framing device, Jake responded cheerfully. Though the torture scene could use some work. Not really scary enough, you know. Maybe add some more alien-looking devices instead of just lights and sounds. I will consider your feedback, Xyler replied uncertainly. As Jake boarded the shuttle, Forlag appeared with a small data crystal. As promised, information on certain Kthar botanical cultivation techniques that may benefit your research. Jake accepted it reverently. Physical takeaway items. The production value just doesn't stop. He paused, looking between the two Kthar. Whoever designed this whole experience really committed to the bit. The costumes never came off, the set design was flawless, and the story, while a bit disjointed, had some great moments. Safe journey, Jake Riley, Forlag said formally. Our species may have more to learn from yours than we anticipated. Jake grinned. Setting up for sequel, huh? I'd definitely sign up for another round. As the shuttle departed, Forlag and Xyler watched from the observation deck. Do we report this incident to Central Command? Xyler asked. And explain what? That we abducted a human who believed it was entertainment, then accepted his help while maintaining the facade. Forlag scales shifted in what might have been the Kthar equivalent of Psi. No. Note only that the cloaking field interference was resolved through technical adjustments. The human's perspective on reality is disturbing, Xyler observed. To so completely recontextualize a threatening situation into a form of recreation. Perhaps, Forlag mused, it is not disturbing but adaptive. Our species responds to threats with logic and efficiency. His responds with enthusiasm and creativity. He watched the shuttle shrink to a distant point of light. I am uncertain which approach is more rational in an irrational universe. Back at Research Outpost Gamma 9, Jake stepped through the airlock, clutching the alien data crystal and brimming with excitement. He immediately began recording a personal log. Just returned from the most incredible immersive experience ever designed. Alien abduction scenario with actual zero-G transport, fully realized spaceship and moon-based sets, dozens of actors in the most convincing costumes I've ever seen, and a repair the cloaking device puzzle with real engineering challenges. He paused, considering. Still not entirely sure who arranged it all. Command isn't admitting anything. Classic NDA situation, probably. The only disappointing part was the ending. Kind of abrupt. No real conclusion or revelation scene. Guess they're saving that for the sequel. Jake placed the data crystal carefully on his workbench, already planning how to incorporate the fictional alien botanical techniques into his algae research, blissfully unaware that he had just participated in actual first contact, averted an interspecies incident, and potentially saved an alien base from destruction. As he returned to his algae tanks, humming cheerfully, the communications console chimed with an incoming message from Central Command. Status report required on recent 36-hour absence from Outpost. Jake grinned widely. Oh, they're still playing, keeping the experience going. He cracked his knuckles and began typing an elaborate report about equipment malfunctions and habitat surveys, preserving the narrative integrity of what he firmly believed was the most impressive game experience ever created. In lunar orbit, cloaked from all Terran detection systems, Commander Forlag added a final note to his own report. Recommend comprehensive revision of protocols regarding Terran psychology and perception. Current understanding fundamentally inadequate. Additionally, suggest monitoring of human Jake Riley's botanical research for potential applications to our resource cultivation challenges. He paused, then added, Note, exercise extreme caution in future Terran interactions. Their capacity for cognitive reframing of reality presents unknown variables in diplomatic and security operations. Most disturbing, this may not be an aberration but a species characteristic. The implications require further study. Forlag sent the report, then turned his attention to the newly stabilized cloaking field generator. Thanks to a human who thought he was playing a game, the Kthar moon base would survive, hidden from Gorgon detection for at least another cycle. The universe, Forlag reflected, operated with a perverse and incomprehensible logic of its own, not unlike Jake Riley himself.